arraignment hearing.
The district attorney's office takes a dim view of rape and murder in our city, Mr. Baran. Your defense contends you have diplomatic immunity, but the Russian consulate says you only have limited immunity.
My status protects me from prosecution of any crime committed in the course of my diplomatic mission. I met Miss Trevino in the capacity of a Russian media expert as a diplomat.
No.
Did you meet Rachel Trevino at the Parkview Regency?
She said she worked there, so we agreed to meet.
And instead you slept with her?
Yes. Women are attracted to me, Miss Carmichael.
Not all of them.
Objection!
Withdrawn.
Ah. Let's do the walking.
The cane you carry matches the bruise on Ms. Trevino's neck. Did you have it with you during your meeting with her?
I don't know. It's a cane, Miss Carmichael, not a precious diamond. I don't watch it every single minute.
Well, you're rather walking with it. Oh, yeah. Can you catch him in a lie? Gwen? Oh, what evidence contradicts his statement? Gwen Squat states she always keeps the cane nearby. He has been photographed in the past. He must have had it at the meeting. He had the cane when the police arrested him. Must always have it. He told police he choked Rachel. I can't remember what Gwen Scott said about the cane. He told police he choked Rachel. No, he didn't. He had the cane when he was arrested. Doesn't mean he has it all the time. They say Gwen said it. No, no.
That was for my daughter, you bastard!
Bailiff, restrain that man. Order! Order!
Someone grab him!
My baby, you murderer!
Oh, well, should we do that again then? Because I got it wrong. Office of District Attorney Jack McCoy.
Judgment Day. Hero Dad gets revenge. Taking care of business. Father does what court cannot. American justice. The headlines go on. The people love this guy.
Chavez Trevino. He killed the smug bastard who killed his daughter. Of course they love him.
How the hell did he get a gun into the courtroom?
This is gonna get messy quick. I say we charge him with voluntary manslaughter and let it go.
Abby?
You know what keeps me up at night? What if his aim was off? Just slightly. I wouldn't even be here to answer your question, Jack.
You're right. I'm not setting a precedent for street justice in our courtrooms, despite what the people think they want. Prove it was premeditated. Hit him with murder one.
You got it, boss.
Arraignment hearing, Superior Court.
How does your client plead, Ms. Mullins?
Not guilty.
Not guilty. Be advised, we're going to mount a diminished capacity defense. The defendant is a Gulf War vet who suffers from chronic post-traumatic stress disorder. We will show that Mr. Trevino was under extreme emotional distress at the time of the shooting and is therefore not eligible for murder one.
Any issues, counselor?
None, Your Honor. Defense has briefed us already. This doesn't change anything. We're moving ahead with murder one. Focus on the premeditation.
Try part 42, Superior Court. The first witness is Detective Benson. As an eyewitness, you would testify to the facts of the shooting and give the jury an unbiased picture of the killing. To help your case, focus on the pertinent details of the shooting and not the public outcry. Follow your questions. The defence will then cross-examine and try to break down her story. Let's start with the ID.
Can you tell us definitively who shot Alexander Baran?
Without a doubt, the defendant, Chavez Trevino, shot him. I looked to see Mr. Trevino standing up with a smoking gun in his hand. Literally.
And can you identify him for the court?
Sitting right there. That's your shooter.
Is this effective testimony? Yes. Watch the scales of justice meter to see whether the jury is siding with you or the defence. Perform well in court and the scales will tip in your favour. performed poorly, and the scales will favour the defence. Uh-oh. The further the scales are tipped in your favour, the more likely the jury is to convict. It also gives you more power when it comes to plea bargain. What exactly makes it effective? Oh, that was her testimony. Benson knows a great deal about handguns. Well, I didn't question her about the gun. Police officers never lie, but they can be mistaken. We're all human witnesses. Detective Benson was an eyewitness to the murder. Benson participated in the capture of Alexander Baron. What's that got to do with it? Eyewitness.
Please let the record show the detective pointed at the defendant.
You're right. She can point. Let's do the... Let's do the gun. Start with the...
Detective, how exactly did Mr.
Implement.
Trevino get a gun into the courtroom? Aren't there security measures?
We're still investigating how he breached security. But he claims he stuffed it into his jacket and simply walked through.
How difficult would it have been to get past security?
Mr. Trevino had to avoid metal detectors and checkpoints covering every entrance.
What would it take to get past all that security, Miss Benson?
Forethought,
Yes.
planning, and intelligence.
And
Mr.
the-
Trevino
and the
had to
big
keep his
trick
cool
for all the
and
criminals
his
to
wits
do.
about him at all times.
Right. What's Benson doing? Won't this testimony help the defendant? No, because it just shows that he planned it. So why is Cutter asking Benson to testify about Trevino's mental state? To establish that Trevino was not under extreme emotional distress, establish grounds for mistrial, cast doubt on whether he was the shooter, establish that Benson was an experienced law enforcement officer. No. That he was not under extreme emotional distress. Mentally he could have been, but he knew what he was doing.
Actions inconsistent with someone under emotional distress.
In my view, yes.
Public opinion statement. If we go with a statement.
After the shooting, Mr. Trevino made a voluntary statement to you about why he shot Mr. Baran. True?
He shouted
Yes.
it out in court.
What did
didn't
he say?
He said Mr. Baran had to die. He said Mr. Baran was going to claim immunity, escape prosecution, and run back to Russia.
Right, let's go to the motive. Forget public opinion.
What else did he say?
He said the courts were weak, powerless. He said the only justice he wanted was a death sentence.
So, his motive was less about avenging his daughter's murder and more about exacting the type of justice he wanted to see.
Objection.
That's
Withdrawn.
not what she said. Occasionally a well-aimed jab at the defendant can score points for the jury, even though you have to withdraw it.
Is there any doubt as to the circumstances of the shooting, Detective?
None. Mr. Trevino shot the defendant in front of witnesses and admitted to the murder afterward. I wish every case was as simple.
Thank you, Detective. Your Honor, the people rest. No further questions for this witness.
For the testimony, the jury sides with the prosecution. You won by +50. Overall, the jury likes your case a little bit. You are ahead by +50. Let's continue. Christina Mullins is the defence attorney you are facing. Your job is to object when she gets out of line. Here are two tricks she likes to use. She would disguise comments as questions such as, are you really supposed to believe this lie? This is argumentative. She would also insult your witness by calling him a lowlife or criminal. That is badgering. Badgering, isn't it? Straight insult. Argumentative is when Mullins casts doubt on the testimony disguised
Detective
as
Benson,
question.
you testified that you saw the defendant, Chavez Trevino, shoot the victim.
No, I testified that I turned around and saw Mr. Trevino with a smoking gun in his hand, about a second after I heard the shots.
So you didn't actually see him do the shooting? Are we supposed to believe you're a relevant eyewitness?
Argumentative.
Objection.
It's argumentative.
Argumentative.
Sustained. Ms. Mullins, enough with the rhetoric.
Immediately after the shooting, what did Mr. Trevino look like?
I don't follow you.
Was he composed? Calm?
He was in possession of himself.
Wasn't he yelling out, "My baby, you murdered her"?
He said that, yes.
He was out of his mind with grief. He was coming apart at the seams, and you didn't see it? Really? I don't believe you.
He was upset.
Would you like to object? No.
Is your heart so cold, Detective? Are you such a robot that you can't see another human in distress?
Yeah.
Objection.
Asked
And answered.
Objection overruled.
Let's try this one more time. Was my client, Chavez Trevino, visibly shaken and distressed following the shooting?
Yes.
Did he appear rational? Calm?
No.
Was his behavior at that moment consistent with a person in severe emotional distress?
Yes.
Yes.
So despite any forethought or planning he might have shown previously, the defendant was clearly in distress when he fired his weapon. True? True?
Yes.
Thank you. That's all for this witness, Your Honor.
Oh, no. For this testimony, the jury sides with the defence. We lost by 15. Overall, the jury likes your case a little bit. You are ahead by 35.
I just got a message from Cormac. You know the gun we took off Chav Trevino?
Yeah?
It's a ballistics match to the one used in the preppy joggers murder.
The joggers? The two kids who got killed in the park? That was in the 90s.
It was 1998. Me and Lenny Briscoe caught the case, but we ran out of leads and were never able to close it. We got pulled off, actually. It burned the old man's ass pretty good.
Oh, tough break. But, well, then, how did Trevino get it?
Yeah, good question, Detective. This case has been on my mind since I got back. Then this falls in my lap. I feel like I owe it to Lenny.
Ray, any way I can help out, I'm in.
Thanks.
Uh-oh. Oh, dear. Now it's the defence's turn to make their case. Christina Mullins is up to her old tricks. There are two new objections. Hearsay is a valid objection when a witness quotes someone who is not in the court and cannot testify to the truth of it. No expert knowledge is when a witness testified with no expertise to back it up. Remember, sometimes knowing when not to object is just as important. The correct choice may be to withdraw your objection.
Mickey, in the weeks after your sister's murder, how did your dad act?
Crazy. My dad has PTSD again. It all came back. He needs different treatment.
Would you like to object? No.
Tell us the behavior you observed.
He couldn't control his temper. He would like yell when the phone rang or like if a dog was barking 2 miles away. I didn't know what to do. When Rachel was killed, I expected him to be really sad or depressed, but not, not angry.
And this behavior, had you ever seen it before?
No, but my sister did.
Well, he only said, yeah, we're going to have to.
Objection.
We'll have to do a hearsay.
Hearsay. Regrettably, the witness's sister is deceased and can't testify to the truth of this statement.
Sustained. The jury will disregard that last remark.
When?
After he got home from the Gulf War, 1991. Pop had his troubles with the law. A felony assault charge, some other some other nonsense.
Would you like to object? No.
Did you think he would hurt anyone?
My uncle said he was getting dangerous.
Objection.
Let's have a hearsay
Hearsay.
on that.
Sustained. If your uncle would like to testify, then by all means. However, you may not testify for him.
Do you think your father was in his right mind when he shot Alexander Baran?
No. When my sister got murdered, I tell you, it smashed something deep inside my dad. And the idea that this fat Russian bastard could walk away scot-free because of some technicality? My dad did the world a favor.
Thank you, Mickey. No further questions.
Right. The jury sides with the prosecution by 20%. The jury is leaning towards your case, 55. Prosecution cross. Your turn, Mickey. Trevino. See if you can make him admit he knew his father had a plan to kill Baron, or try to obtain a weapon. Let's start with... Let's do the fond memories.
Tell us about your sister, Rachel.
I didn't always agree with her politics, but Rachel was a good person. She was trying to make the world a better place. She had this blog for social justice or rainforest or something. I don't know. It's not my thing. She was writing about this guy Baran, about what he was doing to other women, lots of other women. This didn't happen by accident. He read what she wrote, he found her, and he killed her to shut her up. God only knows how many times he did this before. My dad put a stop to Alexander Baran permanently, for Rachel's sake.
Let's talk about the gun.
Did your father try to buy a gun a week before the attack?
Yeah, I guess.
Did you try to help sign for it?
Yeah, so what?
Your father was convicted of felony assault in 1992. He's not allowed to have a gun.
He's
Did
also
you know
got a
about his
mental health
conviction?
illness, that's
Nah,
PTSD.
I didn't know nothing about that. Man's got a right to defend himself.
Actually, when he's a convicted felon, he doesn't.
Right, so how did he get it then?
Where did he get the gun he used in court?
I told the cops already. I don't know where he got the gun.
You sure you didn't help him?
I've never seen it before. I didn't even know he had one.
You sure you didn't help him get it? You are under oath, Mr. Trevino.
I did not help him. Pop smuggled it in under his jacket. I don't know how he made it past security, but he did.
Can we prove that he is lying? Not really. Why not? Benson stated the ballistics report ruled out Chav. No one thus far has proven how the gun was smuggled in. Gun was never recovered. Benson stated the gun did not match the ballistics. No one knows how it was smuggled in. Right. We already know how he feels about Alexander, but let's see how guilty
Did you know
they feel.
Alexander Baran claimed he didn't kill your sister? Does that bother you?
No, I know he did it.
How?
You could just tell.
But now you can never know for sure. No one can. You didn't let a court decide. You didn't let a jury decide.
I decided.
Why do we keep
and my
seeing the
dad
same
decided.
jury member
We
nodding
wanted
at
justice.
everything?
That sounds like vengeance, not justice.
Sometimes they're two sides of the same coin, Mr. Cutter.
Oh, so we're flipping coins now?
Right, let's talk
How do you
about
and your
him.
father feel about Alexander Baran?
How do we feel? Are you freaking serious?
Easy, Mr. Trevino.
Sorry, Judge. We hate the man. Alexander Baran is the guy who killed my little sister. My pop said he didn't care what happened to him. He said he would gladly kill Baran so we could go to hell and kill him again. He's a fat cat with an army of lawyers ready to help him weasel out of everything he does. You know this guy. Every day you read about him. Oh, he loves to do the crime, but he does not do the time. Nope, not these boys.
Oh, don't believe everything you read, matey.
Did you ever hear your father threaten to kill Baran?
Hurt? Yes. Kill? No.
Well, he just said if I have a shot, I want to kill him so I can kill him in hell again and again. Mickey stated he hated Detective Curtis, stated that his father said he hated Baron, that his father that he planned to kill, that his father said he would gladly kill.
That's not true. You just told us your father said he'd like to, quote, kill Baran and go to hell so he could kill him again.
That was like just a figure of speech.
Or the truth. Why didn't you get help for your dad?
He seemed rational.
So he was in control? Enough so that you weren't worried?
Yeah, I wasn't worried.
So where's the PTSD?
I guess I didn't see it then.
So maybe he didn't have it.
That's not what I meant. He did.
So why didn't you get him help? Either you saw he was out of control and you did nothing, or you saw nothing.
Hey, there was no way to know what my dad was gonna do. He was crazy. How could I possibly have known it would come to this?
Could he have known? Well, you could have seen the rage he was in and sort of spoke to him, but ultimately, nobody can really tell what the next person was going to do. Oh, damn it. For this testimony, the jury is on the fence. No. The defence is going to introduce some new tricks. Time to brush up on your objections. Remember, the hearsay means the witness is repeating something at third hand, and remember that also no expert knowledge means the witness is talking about medical, legal professional they don't really know. Here's your new one, speculation. When a witness speculates what might have happened hypothetically.
Mr. Trevino, why did you shoot Alexander Baran?
He murdered my daughter. He was gonna go free. He was going to walk.
Yeah.
Objection. The witness can't know whether Mr. Baran was guilty or whether he would have gone free because he stopped the trial dead.
Sustained.
Can you tell us about Alexander Baran's diplomatic immunity?
I'm not a lawyer, but I know what that means. He just gets to skate. The law says he can run off to Russia.
Well, it's his opinion.
Mr. Trevino, can you take us back to 1991 and your experience after the Gulf War?
Yeah, I was a ranger in Iraq. I saw a lot of stuff. When I got back home, I had some trouble settling in.
What kind of trouble?
I was never a violent guy before, but suddenly anything could set me off. I fought all the time. I couldn't sleep. My wife divorced me. I wanted to die.
Would I like to object? No.
And what did the Army say?
The doctors said I had PTSD. They said it interfered with my ability to regulate my emotions. So I joined a therapy group. I took meds for a while for the depression. Got myself back together.
What might have happened if you hadn't had therapy?
I don't know. Maybe gone crazy, maybe hurt somebody. I might have snapped, like I did that day in court.
Yes.
Objection.
No expert knowledge.
No expert knowledge.
Overruled.
But you got yourself back together. You lived a normal life. So what happened recently to bring it all back?
Rachel.
Your daughter was tragically murdered, and the main suspect appeared to you to have diplomatic immunity.
Objection. Speculation.
Overruled. Defense is well within its rights to use words like suspect and appears in relation to the victim.
She was my beautiful baby girl. He had no right. How could this happen in the 21st century in America? An innocent girl gets killed, the cops pin the blame on this scumbag, and still...
He might walk away.
As a man, as a father, I couldn't let that happen. She looked to me to protect her. All her life, I was a daddy, right? And I failed. And you failed. You didn't protect her when she needed it most. What use is all your legal garbage if you can't put a killer behind bars? So, as a father, it was up to me to put that wrong to right. Because no one else was gonna. Now my baby girl can rest with some kind of dignity.
Thank you, Mr. Trevino. And sorry for your loss.
Mr. Cutter, your witness.
Defense requests a short recess, Your Honor. We wish to confer with the people about a plea deal.
Well, make it quick. We're all on pins and needles.
Jury sides with the defence, yeah. Did a minute. Jury likes your case a little bit.
Mike, Abby, let's not let a grieving father go to jail for the rest of his life. Can we talk deal?
Depends. What are you offering, Christina?
1 year in county plus probation. You give us the time. He doesn't belong in jail.
You're kidding, right? He's a killer. I got the bloodstains on my jacket to prove it.
Here's our counteroffer.
You killed an innocent man. If the scales of justice show that you have performed extremely well in court, you might try for the maximum sentence of murder 2, which is 25 years. If you are less confident, however, consider a lesser charge that both you and the defence feel is appropriate. Okay. Oh. Remember, if the scales of justice don't favour you, the defence is likely to reject your offer. Look up the transcript to review the legal definitions of murder versus manslaughter. Let's do a man 1, 10 years.
Man 1, 10 years in general population, but no parole. You do all the time. Every day of it, Mr. Trevino.
You got yourself a deal, Mike. We'll have the papers drawn up. The people have agreed to a plea and a sentence for the defendant, Your Honor.
Then I thank the jury for their service. Counsel, I will see you at the sentencing hearing on Monday.
Mr. Cutter, Miss Carmichael, I just wanted to say thank you for the deal. I know what I did was wrong, but Rachel was a beautiful person. She was smart. She was going places.
Shouldn't you be going down to the cells
make
or
it
something?
a better place. But this bastard just walked into her life and ended it all.
And you walked into a courtroom and ended his life.
Why can't the law protect us?
From who? Alexander Baran? Or you?
Ray, thought you'd be out having a drink.
Nah, I'm going through some old files on the Preppy case.
Trying to tie the gun to Trevino?
And coming up cold. I wish Lenny was still around. He was good at this kind of thing.
Well, this ought to cheer you up. Turns out Mickey Trevino is an HVAC contractor for the city.
Okay.
Guess where he did a midnight repair 24 hours before the Alexander Baran trial?
Superior Court. He snuck the gun into an air duct.
Shall we go have a word with him?
So that's what that meant. Ah. Okay, yeah, nice. Yeah, we did it. The first one will be, a few times, but never mind.